When you're a first-time home buyer, saving for a down payment can be incredibly taxing, but you got to break down the process into smaller pieces that are easily consumable, actionable items that can really save for that down payment to get you into the house of your dreams. In this video, we're going to be breaking that down and determining exactly how much you need to save for a down payment, some of the loan options, and some of the tips and tricks to go through and save for that down payment. Now, how much do you have to save for a down payment? A lot of people say 20%. However, that is not true, guys. To have that 20% down means you do not have to carry private mortgage insurance or PMI, which is an additional cost that can add onto your payment to carry insurance if you default on that mortgage because you did not have 20% down. Now, for again, a majority of first-time home buyers, 20% down might not be feasible depending in the areas they live. If you're looking in the $200,000 to $300,000 range, which is pretty common around here just for almost starter homes, kind of crazy to think that we have gotten there, but a couple of the different ways you can do this. Number one, conventional loans. Now, conventional loans can be as little down payment as 3%, but again, you're going to have to carry that PMI. Now, these are the loans that are normally backed by Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae. These are really the standard loans in the industry standard for people that are looking to move into a house. Now, there's really a big step with this, guys. You have to think of not only the payment that you're going to have, but also repair costs, insurance costs. There's a lot more than just the home itself that does go into these purchases. Another way you can look at it is FHA loans. Now, these are the Federal Housing Administrative and require as little as 3.5% down. Requirements for down payments on this type of loan vary by credit score, so you do have to check with your lender. VA loans, which are backed by the United States Department of Veteran Affairs, VA loans allow you to skip the down payment in the entirety. So if you are a fellow veteran like I am, you can skip the down payment on that home in its entirety, but you do pay a VA funding fee. So again, if you're not disabled, you do have a VA funding fee, which is built into the loan, but technically you don't have to have a down payment for the house at all. Now, there is also USDA loans, which is backed by the Department of Agriculture in rural and suburban areas, but they do have lower income limits than a lot of people do qualify for. And then, of course, there are jumbo loans, which are the really large loans that cannot be insured or backed the way that other loans can. Most of the time, you need 10% down to actually get into these homes. So now you're considering different options. How are you going to save for this home? Using tips to accelerate your savings, really saving a lot of money, guys, and putting away money. Number one, automating the savings. We've talked about this before. It is one of the absolute biggest ways that you can set money aside. Automating the savings ensures that you're saving. It is really out of sight, out of mind with this one. If you're looking to get a home, let's say 2 or 3 years, how much money do you have to put away to really have the home of your dream or the starter house that you're looking for? You can, again, kind of break it down, do your homework mathematically. If you're looking for a home starting at $100,000 and you want to put that 20% down to avoid PMI, now you need 20 grand. How long is it going to take you to save 20 grand? How can you automate that over the next few years to have 20,000 set aside when you're ready to make and look for that home? Now, saving extra money, when you get raises, when you get bonuses, we're not simply talking about the tax refund that a lot of people use as a bill repayment tool, but making sure that you're stacking away money and exponentially not only getting the growth factor of it, but putting money away systematically and putting money away automatically. That way you know that you're saving. Number three, the spare change. That is right, guys. There's a lot of institutions and a lot of banks that have saving apps. You can round up the change to the nearest dollar. It is, again, kind of a forced out of sight, out of mind savings plan. A lot of people, and I do not advise doing this one, guys, but the next one they advise is cash back on credit cards. Saving the cash that you're going to get cash back and actually putting that away. Now, I advise if you are looking, guys, so when you look at credit cards, when you look at debit cards, majority of individuals, if you're paying cash or if you're using a debit card, will spend less. That could be an easy mental trick for you to actually think about savings, because not using the credit card as much or cutting back on that credit card, even though the cashback rewards seem pretty nice, if you're not paying the balance off in full, you are paying for those rewards. And the next one, guys, is driving smarter. Paying off the car, eliminating the car. That is something that is not only going to play into the debt to income ratios, but it's also going to play into the monthly liabilities, because you're still going to be and have to make the car payment, getting it, or even thinking if you're looking at a new car, save on the monthly payment, wait until you buy a house, guys. You don't want to pull your credit. You want to eliminate your debt. You want to get the best possible score when it comes to getting a mortgage. Before we get into the next one, if you like the content that I'm putting out on this channel, consider subscribing to the channel, give it a thumbs up, drop a comment down below, and let's continue with it. The next one we look at is down payments in the right account. Now, we have said this before, guys, when it comes to your savings, when it comes to the emergency fund, there is a right way to do it, and there is a right way to save in these accounts. Now, traditionally at banks, you're looking at about a 0.3% interest. But if you look at high yield savings accounts, just like M1 Finance, you are getting 5% on a savings account, guys. Now, ultimately, you want to be above inflation, which was about 3.4%. So if you're getting 5%, you are well above that inflation mark. If you're getting that 0.3 in a regular account, you're losing money as you're attempting to save money. And you really have to think about this big picture. If you're not making above that 3.4%, your money, your buying power of the money you have in that savings account is losing, which is why a lot of people that hold cash year over year have less buying power than they did in the past. Number two, the money market accounts. A lot of people still offer money market accounts. Majority of places that I've seen these do not pay near any interest that you're going to see on the high yield savings accounts. And then the next one we look at is your certificate of deposit or your CDs. If you can put a good size chunk of savings into these, they are paying really solid dividends right now. So again, you have to know your timeline when it comes to buying a home. If you're thinking 2 or 3 years, that is where CDs will come into play. Even looking now, the 9-month, the 12 months, the 24-month CDs, if you're putting some money away, not only are you putting away the money and earning a pretty good return, but in addition, you're not going to be looking to save, or excuse me, you're not going to be looking to spend that money because you have it earmarked for something else. The next part we look at, guys, is dipping into your savings. This is something you cannot do, guys. Emergency fund is separate from your down payment from the house. You have to keep them 100% separate. Set aside the money in case of an emergency. Getting a home is not an emergency, even though, the fundamental need of having a house. The emergency fund is not used for down payments on cars, down payments on house, investment accounts, things of that nature. It is for a true emergency only. Also, resist dipping into the 401k. There are a lot of government programs that you can borrow from your 401k, and actually, as a first-time home buyer, there are again programs that you can do it without penalty. However, you could be sacrificing your retirement from the money you're taking out of that 401k to put towards your house because you're not adequately budgeting and saving for that down payment, which is the same rings true for IRAs, guys. Do not buy and do not dip into those to get that $10,000 that you have in those investment accounts. The investment accounts are earmarked for something else. Those are made for retirement. They are not made to supplement and really get the down payment for that house. And the final one, guys, saving for the down payment. There are a lot of down payment assistance programs. Look in the cities, look in the states, look in the counties that you live in. There are even a lot where if you take homebuyer seminars, if you do educational courses, first-time homebuyer programs, that they will offer incentives to you as a first-time homebuyer, or as a den, depending where you're moving into, that you can get into it much cheaper and with a less down payment. Now, the final one, guys, and just one kind of bonus one here, is gifting money. You can also have friends and relatives gift you money for a down payment, just an outright gift. This is not a loan. This is not something that you're paying back. So your friends do have to understand and really agree to this up front, because they are kind of fronting you the money for the down payment through a gift that is not going to be repaid for them. So guys, saving for a down payment can be incredibly hard, but if you systematically plan and know exactly how much you need, how much house you can afford through the budgeting method, it can make it a lot easier. And I'll catch you in the next video.